you're thinking about becoming a hairstylist, or maybe you just got started, let me save you some time, frustration, and maybe a few tears, because I'm spilling the tea on everything I wish somebody would have told me when I first started out in this hair industry. And trust me, it's not all balayage and blowouts. And if you're new here, my name's Mirella Manelli. I'm a hair educator who loves helping hairstylists simplify their skills in business. So let's dive right in. First things first, I wish somebody would have told me about being a hairstylist is it's not just about hair. You are a business. So from day one, you need to start thinking like a business owner and an entrepreneur. That is unless you decide to work in an employee-based hair salon where they will take care of everything for you, from your work schedule, product supply, customer communications, client management, and taxes. But if you want to rent a booth or be a suite owner, know you need to put your big girl panties on and know that you are the boss inside and outside of work. That means you need to be setting boundaries for no-shows, cancellations, your work schedule, tracking your finances, dealing with difficult customers, and understanding that every decision you make impacts your reputation and success. Oh, and let's not forget about marketing, because clients just don't magically appear. Speaking of marketing, social media can be a game changer, and I'm talking about Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and even YouTube, but that's not the only way that you can grow a business. Building a website, blogging, and optimizing Google My Business, these are the things that can make a huge impact in growing a clientele outside of Instagram and TikTok. Now, I'm not saying you need to go spend thousands of dollars on web design, because when I first started out, I learned how to use WordPress and I started my website myself from the ground up, and it served me well for a good 10 years. What I am saying though is to not skimp out on making a website, because this is a really impactful tool that can make you stand out from the rest of your competitors. Let's talk about clients, and here's a hard truth. Clients are not your friends. Yes, you can be friendly and make some amazing connections, but you have to set boundaries. Why? Because clients will test those boundaries, whether it's asking for a discount, last-minute appointments, or crossing personal lines. Think of how many times your close family or friends have asked you for the homie discount. The worst thing that you can do is share way too much personal information with your client, hang out with them at the bar on Saturday night, and then expect them to respect you when it's time to pay up. Remember that the service is about them. Their hair appointment is not the time for you to trauma dump what's going on in your life. Keeping things professional protects your energy and your business, and at the end of the day, when you establish clear boundaries, you're teaching your clients exactly how you want them to treat you. Here's something that nobody tells you in beauty school, and that's that this job is physically demanding. Long hours on your feet, repetitive motions, awkward angles, they add up. I think it's important that we look nice at work, but don't try to get too dolled up in heels. Trust me, those bunions you're gonna get in 10 years, they will not look cute. You want to invest in good shoes, take care of your posture, eat healthy foods, get regular exercise, and don't skimp on self-care. Personally, I had to learn the hard way of not taking care of myself, which led to burnout, and prevention is key. Now, here's the next thing. No one is gonna hand you success. You need to be self-motivated. If you don't show up for yourself, no one else will, because nobody is gonna care about your business as much as you do. They are not gonna care that supply cost is up, or that you just spent thousands of dollars on continued education, or that the shampoo bowl needs fixing. It is up to you. But here's the good news. When you work hard and stay consistent, the rewards are incredible, because there's nothing like seeing your dream career come to life because of your effort. One of the most beautiful things about this industry is the hairstylist community, because we're some bad. Surrounding yourself with other hairstylists who support you, inspire you, and collaborate with you can make such a huge difference. Now, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that some of the people you will meet along this hair journey will teach you some of the best and hardest lessons of your professional career. Clients, coworkers, and mentors will shape your career in ways you never expected, so don't be afraid to ask for some advice or even share some knowledge. A great place to meet like-minded people are in community groups such as Airbnb University, in-person education, Facebook groups, or even hair shows. That was just a little shameless plug here, so if you want to join Airbnb University, I want to put the link down below in the description. Oh, and a little pro tip, this hair industry is a lot smaller than you may think, so don't burn any bridges. You might want to think twice before leaving a really mean comment on a fellow hairdresser's Instagram post, because you just never know who might see it. I know starting out can feel really frustrating, especially if you don't have a fully booked out schedule, but let me tell you, building a clientele takes time. Rejection is just part of the journey, and not everybody's gonna wanna get their hair done with you, and that's okay. Focus on those who value your work, be patient, stay consistent, and keep showing up. Slow days are normal. Use these slower times to focus on marketing, education, or refining your skills. It's so easy for us to compare our journey to somebody else, but remember, everybody's success looks different. Focus on your goals, not somebody else's highlight reel. Every small step you take towards marketing yourself on social media, B2B, and going to businesses and introducing yourself, or handing your card out at a grocery store is one step closer to building your dream clientele. And here's a little pro tip. Do not forget to rebook every single client, because that's one of the fastest ways to grow a clientele. Now, I've shared a lot of hard truths here, but this is the most important thing. This is one of the most rewarding careers you can ever have. You'll build strong connections with some amazing people. You will share their wins and their losses, the happy times and the sad ones. And there's nothing like transforming somebody's look and giving them their confidence back. You'll make real connections, learn valuable lessons, and grow not just as a stylist, but as a person. It's not always easy, but it's so worth it, because this hair industry is a lifelong learning journey. Trends, techniques, and tools are always evolving, and with continued education in both hair and business, you will stay ahead. Now, if this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and share it with a hairstylist friend. For more tips on how to build your dream career, level up your skills in business, I would love for you to join me inside Airbnb University. It's packed with tons of hair tutorials and everything I wish I knew when I first started in this hair industry. And all you have to do to sign up is head to hairbnbuniversity.com. I'm going to put the link to that down below. Welcome back to another episode of Hairbnb Podcast, where I help you level up your skills and your business. I'm your host, Mirella Manelli, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that's on everybody's mind, and that's navigating through the recession as a hairstylist.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Recessions can be a scary time for any industry, but for us in the beauty industry, it can feel particularly daunting. Now, everybody says that the beauty industry is recession-proof, but as someone who has lived and worked as a hairstylist through one of the largest economic crashes, and I'm talking the Great Recession of 2008, I saw a completely different story. And I'm gonna be honest, some of you listening to this are not going to be hairstylists in the next 6 months to a year, and some of you will allow this coming recession to dictate your future career path. If you don't start implementing the things that you should be doing in your business right now, today, you will see a downturn in clients, retention, and sales. And I want to prepare you for what's possible to come so that way you can get in front of it. Now, a while ago, I shared an episode titled 5 Ways to Prepare for the Recession as a Hairstylist. So after you listen to this one, I want you to go back to that one, take some notes on what you need to implement today. And I'm also going to link it down below in the show notes so that way you can find it, because I do think there's some valuable takeaways and ideas in there. Now, in this episode, I want to share with you my own experiences from the 2008 recession, a time when I was working at Ulta as a salon manager. I saw firsthand how different segments of our industry responded to the economic downturn, and I learned some valuable lessons that can actually help you thrive even in these tough times. So let's get right into it.
Welcome to Airbnb, a podcast about hair, beauty, and business. Hi, I'm Mirella Manelli, and I help hairstylists just like you streamline this entrepreneur roller coaster you're on so you can start feeling like the CEO that you are. So grab a glass and be ready to simplify your hair, beauty, and business goals.
Back in 2008, the economic landscape was incredibly challenging, and many independent salons were hit really hard. I saw so many talented hairstylists feeling the pressure, and their client base started to dwindle as people cut back on discretionary spending. Some had to close their businesses or switch careers entirely, and it was heartbreaking to see, especially knowing how much passion and effort goes into building a salon from the ground up. Now, if you're wondering if the beauty industry is recession-proof, my short answer is yes and no. Something you need to understand is that if people don't have money or jobs, they're not going to spend any money, not even on beauty services. And what we went through in 2020 is completely different than what we went through in 2008. According to Forbes, the Great Recession of 2008 to 2009 was the worst economic downturn in the US since the Great Depression. Domestic product declined 4.3%. The unemployment rate doubled to more than 10%, home prices fell roughly 30%, and at its worst point, the S&P 500 was down 57% from its highs. People lost a ton of money in the stock market. People's 401ks took a huge hit, and people who could afford these luxury services lost their jobs. So I want to share a story with you. I vividly remember the day that the stock market crashed. I had a client that sat in my chair who was in her 60s and she was getting ready to retire. I remember that entire year before, she would share how excited she was about retiring. She would share all of her plans, her bucket list vacations, and all of the places that she wanted to see. But that day when the market crashed, her whole future retirement plans completely changed. As she was getting her hair done with me, I remember she pulled out her phone and she was looking at the news and the stocks and she couldn't believe what was happening. I remember the panic in her eyes and she was like, no way is this happening. She then opened another app on her phone that showed the status of her 401k and almost 50% of her 401k savings completely gone within seconds. With tears in her eyes, she had that realization that she was not going to be able to retire like she planned. This was so devastating to her. Not only did half of her life savings go away in a blink of an eye, but home prices started to depreciate, meaning all of the equity that she also built from the home she owned was also not worth what it once was. Again, affecting her retirement plans of selling her home and cashing out on everything she had built, and her American dream was completely shattered. Decades of time that she worked and invested completely worth nothing. That is the impact that the 2008 recession had. As a hairstylist, I had to witness this time and time again. But to be completely honest, I couldn't even relate to some of the things that these people were experiencing because I didn't own a home. I didn't invest in a 401k, but I was $40,000 in credit card debt.
'Cause I have $30,000 in credit card debt. When they call, I tell them I can't pay it back yet.
Living paycheck to paycheck, watching my hairstylist friends struggle to keep their clients, and me wondering if I was next. Now, how I got out of debt to owning a home and building a 7-figure business is a completely different story, which I might share on a future episode. Now, a lot of my friends who were working at independent salons in Southern California were struggling. Now, something to note is that California has more salons per capita than any other state, and I guess you can say we really love feeling beautiful. But what my hairstylist friends saw was a huge decline in blonding services and holes in their day, a rise in no-shows, and people skipping their hair appointments. And some even started sharing chairs so that way they could afford the booth rent. And I even saw booth rent salons offering single-day chair rental just so they can keep the lights on. Shit was tough, and hairstylists didn't even know how to navigate through it. Meanwhile, I was working at Ulta as a salon manager, which is a corporate salon chain, and our story was quite different. Despite the recession, we were kind of thriving. Now, why was that and what made the difference? So first, let's talk about the benefits of working at a corporate salon chain during tough times and how we hairstylists, independent hairstylists, and independent salon owners can learn from it. Now, one thing Ulta had was the resources for significant marketing campaigns and promotions. Keep in mind, these are pre-Instagram days, so marketing yourself looked completely different, and today we actually have a huge advantage. Ulta's marketing campaigns brought in a steady stream of clients looking for affordable luxury. It was something that independent salons didn't offer or couldn't offer because maybe they had to close their doors and a lot of hairstylists moved. Now, people might have cut back on their expenses, but many still sought out those small indulgences like a fresh haircut or a new hair color, and especially if it was part of a promotion. Some of these promos that Ulta offered were like a free haircut with a color service or a free gloss with a touch-up service, and this was really geared towards those first-time clients. But another thing that Ulta did so extremely well was rewarding their existing clients with points. Clients would rack up their points, cashing them in for free services, and this really built a loyalty with our clientele, and in turn, they didn't really feel like they were breaking the bank. What clients saw in that was value, and if you're a good hairstylist working at Ulta, you definitely were building really quickly. In 2008, I was racking in $2,000 a week in services, only working 4 days a week, and that's not even including my tips. My hairstylists, even the new ones, were almost doing the same. Between 2008 and 2013 was the time that I grew my salons to be one of the top 5 salons in the entire company, even during a recession. Now, I'm not sharing this info with you to tell you to cut back on your prices or create these crazy promotions, but what I am sharing is some insights so that way you understand the value. What you have to do is continuously evolve with what's happening around us, and marketing and promotions is something that Ulta got right. But don't get it twisted, because value does not equal price. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Let me say that again. Price is what you pay and value is what you get. What your clients could get could be a 5-minute head massage while you're applying conditioner on their hair, or a warm towel with essential oils, or a seamless check-in and checkout process, a valuable point system, or email promotions to reward existing clients. There are so many ways that you can add value without cutting profit. Now, the next thing that Ulta did extremely well was having an abundance of product availability. Being part of a large chain meant that we had access to a wide range of products, and we could offer competitive prices. And clients appreciated the convenience and the perceived value they were getting, which really kept them coming back. What's crazy is I can't tell you how many times clients would come in from another hair salon where they just got their hair done and ask if we had a particular product for sale. Sometimes I would ask them, why didn't you just buy this product at the salon that you were just at? And many of the responses were they just didn't offer it to me. Like, do you know how crazy that sounds? Your client drove all the way to Ulta to buy a hair product because you didn't grab it off of the shelf and give it to them and tell them to buy it. The lesson here is that your client shouldn't have to ask you about the products that you're using. You should be educating them and telling them about the product during the service, and then grab those products off the shelf and have them available at the front and offer it to them when they're checking out so they know that you actually even sell those products. I want to share another crazy story with you that has a really valuable lesson. This one time, a customer walked into Ulta looking to purchase a product that was used by her stylist from the salon down the street, and she just got her hair done, and it was evident because she had these crazy color stains all around her hairline. And I remember asking her why she just didn't buy that product from her hairstylist, because I was always curious, like, why this constantly happened. And she blatantly told me that she wasn't even sure that the stylist carried the product at her salon because, again, it wasn't offered to her. What was even crazier is that she was completely aware of the color stains on her skin because she was actually kind of embarrassed at the fact that she was walking around with this crazy stain looking like she just got her grays freshly touched up. Like, it completely defeats the purpose of getting the grays touched up in the first place. Like, you don't want to look like you color your hair. But what this did is give me the perfect opportunity to offer her something that her stylist couldn't. And that was walk her back to my salon and simply take a color remover wipe and remove the color stain around her hairline. She was so excited that she didn't even know that color wipes even existed because her stylist, again, never offered that. She said she would try to just shampoo it off and it never worked. So she just assumed that in order to get her hair color done, she had to suffer through a few days of stained skin. This customer not only purchased the product that she was looking for, but I offered her something that was so valuable, and that was leaving the salon not looking like she just got her hair color done. She left Ulta with my card, and lo and behold, she had an appointment on my books a few weeks later. What her longtime hairstylist couldn't offer her was something so simple like a color remover wipe to remove the color stains. What that color remover wipe provided was added value to the client because now she felt confident in the hair that was just done for her. Lesson here is offer the products and educate your clients about the products during and then even after their hair appointment. And please, do your clients a favor. Don't let them leave the salon with color stains. Thank you. The last thing that Ulta did extraordinarily right was invest in its employees by providing ongoing training and development opportunities. This not only helped me improve my skills, but it also gave me inspiration and the confidence to offer the best services to my clients. One thing I've learned after taking color or a cutting class, and I have all these brand new ideas, is I'm so excited to come back to the salon and offer these new skills to my clients. And what this does is it makes my clients excited about it too, and they're also excited to kind of change things up a little bit. Because let's be real, clients get bored so easily. And when they get bored and you're doing the same services again and again, they might go somewhere else. This is why it's so important to continuously ask your clients how they're feeling about their hair. What they say is going to guide you on the types of add-on services that you can offer. And the worst thing that they're going to say if you offer these services is no. When times get tough is when you need to start investing in your skills. So take the education. And taking education doesn't mean you need to spend thousands of dollars either. One thing I did early on in my career is I spent every Sunday and Monday taking free or low-cost classes at my local distributor store. Most of them were topics on product knowledge or simple technique classes, but a lot of these same classes that I took at the distributor store are now available for free online through your favorite brands. Another great free option, which can seem a little controversial for some, is my YouTube channel. You can take advantage of all the free hair tutorials that I have available online. And if you're ready to level up your skills and business, I created Airbnb University. It's an affordable subscription-based platform I built specifically for hairstylists. Open enrollment only happens a few times a year, but it's a great space to not only have those in-depth hair tutorials on color correction, highlighting, updos, styling, social media, and business, but there's a community of other hairstylists just like you built right inside where you can learn from. And if you want to learn more about this amazing platform that I built just for you, make sure you head to hairbnbuniversity.com or check out the show notes down below. So what can we learn from the 2008 recession that applies today? Here are some key takeaways. Number 1, diversify your income streams. So whether you're an independent salon or hairstylist, finding multiple revenue streams can provide a safety net. This could be through retail sales, offering micro services, or even creating digital content on multiple platforms so that way you can start promoting your services and your products. Number 2, build a strong client relationship. In tough times, your relationship with your client is more important than ever. Offer personalized services, follow up with them, and make them feel valued. And please, for the love of God, please invest in some color wipes, people, and offer them the damn retail products at the end of the service. I promise they're gonna love you for that. Remember, the worst thing that they can say is no. A loyal client is more likely to continue to support you even when they're cutting back on expenses. Number 3 is invest in your skills and never stop learning. The more versatile and skilled you are, the more valuable you become. Clients are willing to pay for expertise, especially if it's something they can't replicate at home. Number 4, leverage technology, use social media and online booking systems to your advantage. They can help you reach a broader audience and streamline your operations. During the 2008 recession, we didn't have many digital tools at our disposal, but today, these can be a game changer. Number 5, stay positive and adaptable. Attitude is everything, so you need to stay positive and be ready to adapt to the changing circumstances. Flexibility can make a significant difference in how you weather the storm. Believe me, I get it. Recessions are tough, but they also present opportunities for innovation and growth. By learning from past experiences and staying proactive, you can navigate through the challenging times and come out stronger on the other side. Now, this wraps up this episode on navigating through the recession as a hairstylist and lessons we can learn from the 2008 recession. And I want to thank you so much for joining me on Airbnb Podcast. And I hope you found this episode helpful. Get more free education on my website at morellamanelli.com, as well as YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. But if you're looking for more education on hair and business, make sure you check out Airbnb University. Are you ready to take your salon game from meh to wow? Well, I've got the lowdown on 3 crucial calculations that will totally switch up how you run your beauty business. And guess what? They're easier than mastering the perfect balayage. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the 3 calculations you must know in your salon biz. So if you're a hairstylist, booth renter, salon owner, or really wherever you're at in your beauty biz, you're going to want to listen in through this entire episode because I'm dropping some real numbers, some real facts about your hair business. Now, in my last episode, I talked about how I survived a salon walkout as a salon owner, which was really insightful and really a great episode for almost anybody listening in. So if you haven't listened in, definitely go check out that one. And I wanted to start out this episode by thanking every single one of you who have listened into that episode, who left a review, who DM'd me with their own stories of salon walkouts and trauma from working in toxic salons or working with toxic people. And in that particular episode, it really drew in lots of new listeners. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Mirella Manelli, and I'm so excited that you're here to elevate your beauty biz. So let's get right into this episode titled 3 Must-Know Calculations to Revolutionize Your Salon Biz. So first things first, I definitely got my hustle juice here.
Oh.
Just kidding. It's just water. Water is always good for you. I love freaking water. I've grown to love water as I've gotten older. So embrace the water. It keeps you hydrated. So let's get right into the very number one thing, which is nail your sweet spot rent and aim for that 12%. So I bet you never thought about budgeting your salon rent. And if I'm being totally honest, when I first started out as a renter, I never thought that was something really important. I know that probably sounds silly for some of you who have been in the industry for a long time, but I just
just thought I pay my rent and whatever I had left over is what I had left over. The fact is most salon businesses allocate anywhere from 2 to 20% of revenue into their rent. However, if you're a booth renter, you are a one-man show running your own business. So keeping overhead as low as possible is not only important, but it's imperative. So here's the golden rule. Keep your station rent or suite rent at just 12% of your total revenue. With the rise of inflation, do not go above that 15% revenue. It's like finding the perfect temperature of your flat iron. Not too hot, not too cool. So let's go ahead and do some quick math so you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're scouting for new spots, one of the things you're going to want to do is calculate your total monthly revenue that you're making now and times that by 12%. And that's going to equal your rent cap, exactly how much your rent should be. Now I get it. If you're already renting, you're like, Mirella, I'm already in a salon, I'm already paying the rent. What can I do now? Well, you simply just flip it. You're going to take that monthly rent and then divide it by that 12%. And that's going to equal your total revenue needed so that way you can stay in budget. So for example, if your rent is about $1,200, you should be making $10,000 monthly. So why is this a game changer? Well, if you're paying more, ouch, that's totally eating into your well-deserved profits. So it's time to up your game. You're going to want to find more Insta clients, maybe get some policies in place so you have fewer no-shows, or even flirt with the idea of becoming a social media influencer. Now, moving on to the second must-know calculation for your beauty business is your back bar supplies and really sticking to a 10% budget. A golden rule I use in my salon is really sticking to an 8 or even 10% max budget on color and back bar supply. So if I'm going over that, I actually need to sit down and figure out exactly where I'm overusing or maybe wasting product. So here are some additional tips to help guide you through budgeting. The number one rule for this is to stay on budget with your back bar supplies. Yep, all of the essentials behind the scenes should only munch about 10% of your revenue. And if you're in the 20% club, start by budgeting at a 15% and then just work your way down. Figure out your cost per service and see if there's an opportunity for price increases. And remember, when product cost goes up, so should your prices. Now, this is how you calculate it. You're going to take the total cost of supplies and you're going to divide that by the total monthly revenue. And this is going to equal your supply cost percentage. So for example, if you spent $1,000 with a revenue of $5,000, your supply cost is actually at 20%. Ouch. Aim for that 10% or lower to really boost those profit margins. So here's a pro tip. You're going to want to be a budget ninja with your supplies. So only splurge on what you truly need. Remember, every dollar saved is a step closer to your dream profit. Now let's move on to number 3. You're going to want to target a 50% profit. Why? Because you're worth it. It's time to raise the bar. Now, what I'm about to share with you might come as a surprise to many of you, but the average booth renter or suite owner profits around 25 to 35%. You should really aim for at least 50%. You're not average, you're exceptional. So here's the real deal. It's not just about what you earn, it's about the sneaky expenses in between. So you want to stay vigilant and keep those costs in check. Now I get it. It's hard shifting your business with old habits you're trying to break. So remember, baby steps to big gains. Review your numbers on a regular basis. The more you know about your percentages, the more control you have over your business's financial health. The bottom line, make numbers your BFF. My best tip is to stay techie. Using budgeting apps or software to keep track will make your life so much easier. Having budgeting apps can make numbers as fun as scrolling through TikTok. Not to mention, you need to be socially smart. So use your social media skills to not only attract clients, but also learn new budgeting tricks and tips from other savvy hairstylists. You can even start listening to some business savvy podcasts like Airbnb. Knowledge is power, so educate yourself. The more you understand about your business finances, the more empowered you're going to feel about making smart decisions in your business. Your salon is more than just a place to create stunning hair transformations. It's your business empire in the making. With these simple yet powerful calculations, you're not only just cutting hair, you're cutting unnecessary costs and boosting your profits. So go ahead, run those numbers, make those changes, and watch your salon business flourish. You're not just a stylist, you're a savvy business owner shaping your future. So remember, it's not just about the style you create on the outside, it's about the smart decisions you make on the inside. You've got this. We're gonna start out today's episode with always learning. Just plain ass old water, okay? We gotta hydrate. We gotta hydrate ourselves, get ready for the gym later.
get a little workout in, because health is wealth, and hydration is key. Welcome to Airbnb, and I'm so pumped for this episode because if you have been following me on social, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, then you know I've been getting a ton of heat for my price transparency posts, specifically my $2,000 hair services or my $600 hair services. And in my last episode, I talked about the 3 calculations you must know in your beauty business, but how do you really know if you're really charging your worth? Or are you price gouging? So in this episode, I'm going to be chatting about charging your worth, the 5 things to avoid when charging clients. And this is going to be an amazing episode for hairstylists or salon owners who really want to level up their business, specifically those who are in a space with a solid clientele. But this is also a great episode for a newbie, so you can start putting this advice that I'm going to share with you to practice right now, because let me tell you, I wish I knew some of this stuff early in my career.
Welcome to Airbnb, a podcast about hair, beauty, and business. Hi, I'm Mirella Manelli, and I help hairstylists just like you streamline this entrepreneur roller coaster you're on so you can start feeling like the CEO that you are. So grab a glass and be ready to simplify your hair, beauty, and business goals.
Amazing. So let's kick off this episode with defining price gouging, because I feel like I see that all over the internet all the time with my price transparency posts. And price gouging is the practice of increasing prices of goods, services, or commodities to a level much higher than what's considered to be reasonable or fair. A specific example of this is that 2-liter of Purell that was selling on Amazon for $250 over the pandemic. And well, at this time it was a necessity. And when prices for it was normally around $25 just the day before, and then they hiked it up to $250. But hair services are not a necessity. They are a luxury. And furthermore, as an independent hairstylist, you can charge whatever you want, because let's be real here. There is not a shortage of hairstylists. When there's a shortage of something, that's when we can say things are price gouging, because there's no other option. There is literally enough hair and skin to go around for everybody. Now, you can make your prices anything you want so long as you can find the clientele to pay for it. Now, I want to put a disclaimer out here, and I've said this many times on my posts when doing price transparency videos. Not everyone should be charging high prices. There are important factors to consider, like skill, demand, and experience. So no, I don't think that you should charge $2,000 for any hair makeover or service fresh out of school unless you have the skill and the demand right out the gate. We all start from beauty school, but also why should those of us who have put in the time and the energy to educate ourselves and build up that clientele to be penalized for charging premium prices when clients literally have no problem paying me for the overall experience? So that's what we're going to chat about today. Because rule number 1 as a woman in business is do not think with your own wallet. That means just because I can't afford something doesn't mean the other person can't. So now let's talk about charging your worth, the 5 things you should avoid when charging clients. Mistake number 1 that I see many stylists make is not discussing prices before starting the service. So picture this. A client walks into your salon excited for their appointment, but when it comes time to pay, they're shocked by the price. This can lead to a ton of discomfort and even tension between you and the client, not to mention a bad review, or even worse, they tell everybody they know not to go to you because you are perceived to be a dishonest person and a dishonest business owner. Believe me, I've been there. Taking on a client used to literally fill me with anxiety. I would worry about whether my consultation was detailed, if my foil placement would deliver the results they expected, whether my toner formula was too dark, or if the length of the service might discourage them from coming back. There is so much that goes into creating the best experience for your client, but the number 1 thing you must nail early in your career is the consultation. This is so you can create the best experience for both of you, really, and it's essential to have a transparent conversation about pricing before you begin any service. This sets clear expectations and ensures there are no surprises when it's time to settle the bill. Plus, this sets you apart from the sticker shock culture that is super rampant in the hair community. So if you're a stylist who wants to charge their worth, then you need to get comfortable with talking about money with your client. There are 2 to 3 times that pricing should be mentioned. Once on your booking site,
Once on the phone saying, here's the starting price for the service you're about to receive, and then finally during your consultation before you even proceed with doing anything to their hair. Bottom line, hone in on your consultation skills, and the more you practice, the better you will get at it. Trust me, if you want your consultations to not be weird, practice with yourself in the mirror or practice with another hair bestie in the salon. I promise it just gets easier and easier the more you do it. Another pitfall to watch out for is failing to communicate the value of your services and neglecting to account for the client experience. Your clients aren't just paying for a haircut or color, they're investing in an experience. This is the most important factor as to why some hairstylists are able to charge more for the same exact service. It's kind of like the difference between going to a fast food chain and a sit-down restaurant where they serve you. Which type of salon do you want to be? Fast food, fine dining, or somewhere in between? From the moment your clients walk through your door to the final end result, every interaction should reinforce the value you provide. What's the check-in process like? Do they change into a robe? Do you offer refreshments or snacks? Do you educate them on how to care for their hair at home? Do you use high-quality products? Take the time to explain your unique approach, showcase your expertise, what makes you different, and create a welcoming atmosphere that keeps your clients coming back again and again. The more value you build into your service, the more clients will understand the cost. And remember, adding value doesn't have to cost money or your time. It could be as simple as creating the best booking site, a nice smooth check-in flow, followed by the best customer service they have ever experienced in a salon. Now let's move on to the third fear that many stylists grapple with, which is client pushback. It's totally natural to worry about how clients will react to your pricing, but letting this fear dictate your decisions can hold you back from charging what you're truly worth. Remember, confidence is key, so stand firm on the value you provide and don't be afraid to justify your prices with concrete examples of your skills, expertise, and the overall experience you offer. This is why I say not everybody can charge premium prices, because you need to build up to that standard. Your skill, demand, and experience need to match the price. And you have to be okay knowing that not everyone's going to agree with the pricing, and that's okay if they go somewhere else. This is why clients need to be overflowing before you even consider raising your prices. The best way to handle client pushback is asking your client what their budget is. Once you have a better idea of what they're willing to spend, now you can create a service that can give them a similar look to what they want at a price they can afford without you breaking your back. Again, I want to reiterate, be comfortable with clients saying no, just like it's okay for you to say no. In the long run, it's really best for both of you. At the end of the day, clients and hairstylists need to vibe well, and if the vibe ain't vibing, then it's time to move on. Next on the list of things to avoid is underestimating your skill set. We're always second guessing what we do and how we do it. And even as a veteran hairstylist who has been doing hair for over 2 decades, I still stay up late at night wondering if my client really liked her hair. It's totally normal to feel this way because we put our heart and soul into every bit of work we do. And at the end of the day, we just want our clients to love their hair. As hairstylists, we invest years in honing our craft, mastering our techniques, and staying up to date with the latest trends. Yet some stylists undervalue their expertise and set their prices way too low. Your pricing should reflect the quality of your work and the years of dedication you've put into perfecting your skills. You know what you're good at. The faster and better you become at a specific skill should reflect in the bill. As your clientele grows, so should your salary. Every single year, corporations give their employees a 3 to 5% raise, and our profession should be no different. So don't sell yourself short. Know your worth and charge accordingly. Finally, let's discuss the biggest mistake I see hairstylists do when it comes to charging your worth. It's the danger of discounting your time. Time is the most valuable asset as a hairstylist and as a person, and discounting your services can devalue the hard work you put into each appointment. I see all too often our clients sit in our chair, tell us their deepest, darkest secrets, reveal trauma in their lives, and all of the bad shit they go through. And when it comes time at the end of their appointment, we're giving away free services because we feel bad for them, hoping your discount will brighten their day, but really it's putting a hole in your pocket. While occasional promotions can be beneficial when your business is growing, be mindful not to undercut your prices to the point where you're not adequately compensated for your time and expertise. A general rule of thumb is your hourly price should be whatever your haircut fee is. That is the bare minimum that you should be charging. Now throw in some chemicals and treatments, the price needs to go up. Now there are lots of ways you can model your pricing. There is hourly, service-based, hourly plus product cost, but do what works best for you and your clientele. So let's wrap all this up with the 5 things you should do as a hairstylist, no matter where you're at in your career. Always talk about pricing before and during your consultation. Get comfortable with talking about money. The more you practice, the less weird it gets. Always communicate the value of your service and experience. It could be as simple as giving them some water, a little snack, and a 5-minute head massage. Always stand firm in your pricing when dealing with client pushback when it comes to pricing. Remember, you can always adjust the amount of work to fit their budget, not the other way around. Know your skill set is worth it and always improve it with yearly education. And finally, stop discounting your time. You are running a business, not a charity. Now, if you love episodes like these and you want more, you're not going to want to miss something I have launching so soon, Airbnb University. This is the ultimate business makeover specifically for hairstylists. It's a place where you can learn at your own pace, turn your passion into profit, and gain confidence behind the chair. And all you have to do is sign up for the waitlist by tapping on the link down below in the description. You may or may not know too much about me to know if I am legit, and well, that's about to change. Hold up. Let me go grab my water really quick. Today, I'm going to be talking about how I became a successful hairstylist and educator, and just overall sharing a little micro version of my career and my overall path so you have a better understanding of why I am just so passionate about this hair and beauty industry. There have been lots of changes going on at the Mirella Manelli Education Headquarters, and I wanted you to be the first to experience all of the amazing benefits Airbnb has to offer on YouTube. This is my very first episode on YouTube for Airbnb podcast. So if you're watching, hi, hello. And if you're listening on your favorite streaming platform, be sure to head on over to my YouTube page to subscribe. And like always, all of the links to everything that I'm going to be talking about today will be down below in the show notes or the description. So let's go ahead and get started.
Welcome to Airbnb, a podcast about hair, beauty, and business. Hi, I'm Mirella Manelli, and I help hairstylists just like you streamline this entrepreneur roller coaster you're on so you can start feeling like the CEO that you are. So grab a glass and be ready to simplify your hair, beauty, and business goals.
Now, I was so eager to record this podcast and create this video that I'm actually doing it from my home today. So there's like no fancy background or really cool YouTube plaque to show off or any of my accolades in the background. This is just a really simple and candid video that I was just so excited to bring to you today. So for all of my avid listeners, it's been a really long time since I actually came out with an episode. And I know I've said this before, but this podcast had to take a back seat because it just was not in a monetizing state, and my time is much more valuable in providing education and business and also to my salon. This is exactly why I decided to integrate the two by bringing my podcast episode to YouTube. I wanted to be able to provide you with even more value to your business and all of the episodes that so many of you love listening to, and being able to provide that education and just overall somehow make this work. So here I am in video form with a cool little surprise at the very end of this video. And for those of you that are new here, my name is Mirella Manelli. I'm a hair educator and salon coach, and I have a passion for helping hairstylists from everything with their skill set all the way down to the nitty-gritty of their business. Now, I'm going to share a little bit of a background with you, and I've had a podcast episode like that before, but since this is YouTube and this is my very first episode here on YouTube, I wanted to kind of reintroduce myself and give you a little micro version of my journey. So that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about today. So I am going to skip right on over all of the boring cosmetology school stuff and the first job as a barber, and I'm sure I'll talk about it here on YouTube a little bit more, but I'll save that for another episode. But I really wanted to start at the very beginning, where I started my career independently and how I epically failed. So let's just jump right to it. So I started out my career in a traditional booth rent salon, bringing in my very first year in a booth rent salon, $75,000 at just 18 years old. So keep in mind, this was after I had the barbershop experience and all of that. I decided to jump right into booth rental because I just thought I was just so amazing that I could do the damn thing. And I kind of was, in a lot of good ways and bad ways. But like most stylists, I blew all of that money that I was making on clothes, shoes, and just going to the club every weekend, sometimes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I had no idea how to manage my money, understand my profit margins, or overall just how to make my money work for me. Taxes? What's that? Now, each year I was a slave to my weekly hair schedule, taking clients that I just didn't want, working late nights, and never taking a Saturday off. I did this for a few years, not fully understanding how I could actually make good money, even though I was making excellent money at such a young age. But the problem was I didn't fully understand how to manage any of the revenue that I was generating. Fast forward to after I fell in love, got married, and moved to Alaska. Yes, I lived in frigid, cold Alaska. I was super young, by the way. I was just a couple months shy of turning 21. I got married to an Army soldier and moved to Fairbanks, Alaska. Of all places, it's like right below the Arctic Circle, so it's pretty damn cold there. And yes, it's 24 hours of light and 24 hours of darkness. That's a whole nother story. And since I moved to Alaska and since I didn't have enough experience under my belt to transfer all of my cosmetology hours to Alaska as a hair licensed cosmetologist, plus the hours in Alaska were slightly higher than what California provided me, which is kind of silly. So I ended up working at the Army base hair salon, like right next to the PX. I got a little bit more experience under my belt. I was an employee of the salon, so I was receiving a W-2 paycheck. And honestly, it was just a job to at least do what I loved doing, which was hair, and just make the time go by because there really wasn't much to do in Alaska, especially for a 21-year-old. Now let's move back to California. Just kind of wanted to give you that insight of how I guess my employee-based career kind of started and what the preface was for everything that I'm about to share with you today. Because remember, I went from making $75,000 in revenue as an 18-year-old and just blew it, failed, because I had no money left over and I actually was in the negative because I had to pay taxes. And then I went to working at a W-2 salon making significantly less and still pretty broke. So after I moved back to California, where I'm originally from, I had my first baby while we were still in the military, but he was actually getting out. And then we kind of needed to acclimate ourselves to civilianhood and I needed a secure job. So I was hired on as a salon manager at a new and growing company on the West Coast, Ulta Beauty. Now I was able to get this management position because I was a manager at the PX salon in Alaska. So again, had a little bit of experience under my belt managing something. But yet again, I'm in another W-2 position working for a corporate hair salon. I started at the Huntington Beach location and I opened, staffed, and trained employees of all levels, really kind of focused all of my training on the salon operations, specifically in the Orange County area. During that time, I grew so much as a leader, as a manager, and I had an amazing mentor. Her name is Nancy. Hello, Nancy, if you're watching. Nancy was an amazing mentor that really kind of guided me and helped me along the corporate hair salon journey that I was going through. She was my general manager at the time and also my boss. And during that time that I was at Ulta, I had a really strong skill set of growing salon teams and mentoring and training. And with that skill set, I was able to grow my own salon to be one of the top 5 salons in the entire company. And because of this, I won one of the company's highest awards, which was the Club of Excellence. I felt super proud of my accomplishments and my team's really hard work, but I wasn't entirely happy at my time at Ulta. I was yearning for so much more out of the 9 years that I worked there, and I just wanted more growth than what I had hit. I just kind of was at this plateau. Honestly, education was calling my name. I've always wanted to be an educator at the very, very beginning of my career. So I applied 3 different times to become a regional education manager with Kenra Professional, which a lot of you know me as the Kenra educator. But to be honest, even though
I finally got the job on the very third try. It was not the easiest decision for me to accept this amazing new opportunity because I had it good at Ulta. I had a solid team, a $2K a week clientele, paid holidays and vacation time, bonuses, health insurance, 401k, and then super mega bonus points is the location that I worked at was right around the corner from a new home that we had just purchased, making my morning commute literally less than 5 minutes. Taking on this new role would require me to be on a plane every single week and really challenge me personally and professionally. There was a huge learning curve awaiting me because I had never taken on a corporate position before. I worked at a corporate salon, but never at corporate level. So this was huge. This was a big leap and a big change in my career. And because Ulta was like right around the corner, it made it really easy and convenient to be a mom because I had two little boys at that time. And honestly, if I was on a plane every week, like who was going to watch them? However, I knew that not taking this role would mean I would continue to do the same old manager role day after day, and I would never fulfill my dreams of becoming an educator. I knew I needed to make a change, and you know what? My family adjusted. We just figured it out. During my time at Kenner Professional, I explored new talents. I partnered with the brand team for product development and found this new passion for social media marketing. Traveling to each salon during that time frame opened my eyes even more to how most hairstylists and salons truly operate. Money in and money out. It was like seeing my old 18-year-old self all over again, making and generating so much revenue, but spending it all and not knowing truly how to manage any of it. Taking on this new education manager role made me understand how the game is really played by the most talented leaders in the business. Most of them men, by the way. And everything that I have learned to this point, being independent, to building teams at a commission salon, to working on set for an ad campaign, learning how to market my educational classes on social media, made me realize that I was truly ready for my next adventure, entrepreneurship. I took all of those foundational concepts that I had acquired from every single job that I ever had and every single experience that I ever had, and I applied them to acquire my very first business, a hair salon. So in 2018, aside from birthing my first daughter, I quickly went from 0 to 5 businesses and 7 figures in income by becoming a course creator, influencer, and now cash investor. I am by no means the smartest person, but I am perhaps the most willing to share everything that I've learned with anyone who is actually willing to listen. My education has helped thousands of hairstylists grow their skills and their income, and also help them learn how to generate new revenue streams over the past 5 years. So here's the goal. Learn how to save time, learn how to make money work for you, and then learn how to make your first $100,000, $500,000, and yes, $1 million. And if you're still watching, I am so glad you're here because it means that you are ready to open your mind and change the way you handle your beauty biz. Now, if you like podcast episodes like these and you would love to have it more in reading form with just a little bit more meat, I just launched the Airbnb newsletter. So each month, my team and I are going to send out one newsletter, and this is going to accomplish 2 things. Learn how to work on your business instead of in your business, and unbox the infinite ways that you can earn extra cash doing what you already love. Overall, Airbnb is going to teach you a brand new mindset so that you can feed your mind the business acumen we've never been taught in our industry, and how growing your business can be achieved in the most unconventional ways. This newsletter is our way of helping you become the most well-rounded beauty pro and entrepreneur. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point, and it's free. And all you have to do is sign up. We send it out to over 10,000 subscribers, and all you have to do is literally sign up. That's simple. You can find the link
to signing up for Airbnb down below in the show notes. And that's it. That's my super exciting news. More free education, more free content, more free education through Airbnb podcast and Airbnb newsletter. So thanks so much for joining me on Airbnb, and make sure to visit my website, morellamanelli.com, where you can subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode. Or you can also subscribe right here on YouTube. If you found value in the show, I would truly appreciate a rating on iTunes, or just simply tell a friend about the show and listen in. Make sure you check out my other free education right here on YouTube, and of course my online courses on my website, and I'll see you in the next one. So be ready to simplify your hair, beauty, and business goals on Airbnb. Cheers. Got my villain era sweater on. I'm so excited to start this podcast. And I also got my sparkling water. Welcome to Airbnb. I have been MIA for months now, but I'm so glad to be back to offer you some brand new episodes. And today I'm going to be talking about how I survived a salon walkout as a salon owner, and some tips you can do to prepare for it before and even after it happens. Because let's be real here, it's inevitable. You probably have either worked in a salon or owned a salon where there's been a walkout, and as a salon owner battling the salon suite life, it makes it more difficult to own independent and team-based salons. So with that being said, it's important to have a contingency plan and to be proactive in handling potential walkouts. So if you're a salon owner, aspiring salon owner, or even a hairstylist who is seasoned or just starting out, this is going to be an amazing episode giving you lots of insight and information to learn from, no matter where you are at in your hair journey. Now, I'm going to be sharing my story, how I became the villain in my ex-employee's stories. And at the very end, if you stick around, I'm going to be sharing some tips to help you prepare for a walkout or for the just-in-case moments. So let's get right into it.
Welcome to Airbnb, a podcast about hair, beauty, and business. Hi, I'm Mirella Manelli, and I help hairstylists just like you streamline this entrepreneur roller coaster you're on so you can start feeling like the CEO that you are. So grab a glass and be ready to simplify your hair, beauty, and business goals.
Have you ever wondered what leads to a salon walkout and what you can do to prevent it? It occurs when multiple stylists or salon staff leave a business simultaneously, often with little or no prior notice. And here are some reasons why they happen. Toxic salon culture, having the wrong people in the wrong position. This means putting people in positions of authority when they shouldn't be in the first place. And this particular one hits the nail on the head for my business. Again, I will elaborate more in this episode. Workplace conflicts, basically toxic cliquey culture, which we're going to talk a lot about today. Compensation disputes and lack of growth opportunities, and a slew of other reasons. As a salon owner, it's important to take accountability and acknowledge what you did wrong in your business so you can learn from it and it doesn't happen again. And also prepare for it because walkouts happen all too often. For my salon business, I had the wrong person in the wrong seat, and that's essentially what started this whole snowball effect. So let me start from the very beginning so you have a general understanding of how we started. So my salon opened in 2018 with just 3 people. And then the pandemic came 2 years later. Because I was a salon operating in California, we had to close 3 times per our governor's orders. But when we were finally able to reopen, a couple of things happened in our industry. Lots of salons closed, hairstylists moved or changed careers, and there was a shortage of new talent. And when this happened, my salon got flooded with clients. Too many for us to handle. I already had a salon manager and my marketing social media manager who both are still with me today, and we were on a hiring spree at that time. We needed to fill these hairstylist positions ASAP, and my salon manager and I hired multiple hairstylists, some with a few years of experience and some fresh out of school. And with this direction, I knew we needed training and lots of it. But personally, I had no time to commit to this because at the same time my salon business exploded, my online education company was growing exponentially, and I needed to hire another manager to help educate. It was finally time to remove myself from the salon entirely and find a team of leaders to take my place. I want to preface this with I am a team-based salon with some booth runners, but the people that we were hiring were W due to employees. Now, I ended up hiring an education manager to be an extension of me. Now, what I'm going to walk you through is all of the red flags and all the things I did wrong in hiring this person. So mistake number one is I hired out of desperation. You never want to do this. This person came into my life fleeing her own salon that she left all the way on the other side of the country. I know, red flag, but sold me on this story that she was desiring to move to California because that's where her husband was from, and the salon she had back home was running itself. Sidebar, I found out much later that the salon was on its last leg because she too experienced a walkout and had to shut down. It's funny because some of the people that worked for her expressed they weren't getting paid on time. She was never there. They didn't have the supplies I needed and a slew of other things. And I totally wish I knew all of this before the chaos, but hindsight's 2020. You know what you know. This person also loved social media as much as I did and wanted to get into that influencer space, which is also why she wanted to work with me. Another benefit was that she had a little education experience working for a major hair brand. So at this point, I thought, she is it. She is my education manager. She is going to collaborate with my other managers, and she's going to help me with my rapidly growing business while I teach her how to leverage social media. I even helped her start her TikTok, taught her how to monetize, and overall create a brand for herself. Thinking back now, she had so much more of a benefit than I did because there are tons of opportunities with growing your social media platforms. But I love helping people and love watching them grow. Little known to me, this would all bite me in the ass later. The education manager's role was not only to do some hair, but also train the staff. They were supposed to help in areas of growth for the newbies and overall just be that support system for the staff. The first thing that happened was a salon culture shifted once I put her in this position. And this was a baby red flag that we needed to keep an eye on, but changes needed to be put in place because we were growing so fast and we needed to create that structure and cohesiveness and overall an ecosystem in the business, which we did. This education manager had a huge personality, but we loved that about her initially. She brought energy to the team to keep them motivated, and the hairstylist also needed to adjust to this new leadership. You know, they were sizing her up, seeing how legit she was. Did she do great hair? Is she nice? And this is totally normal when you get a new boss. But aside from that, she had the support of myself and the two other managers. So keep in mind, I had a team of 20 people. Now, here was another red flag that I should have taken more seriously. This education manager was so hungry for friends that she started hanging out with the staff she was managing outside of the salon. And when I say hanging out, there was drinking involved, sleepovers, and with that came favoritism, and to me, overall unprofessionalism. I honestly had no idea that this was happening until several of the hairstylists expressed their concerns about her favoritism to one of the other managers. This is when we learned all about the sleepovers, apartment sitting, using the staff as the Uber ride to LAX, and the list goes on. So of course I had to have a conversation about the importance of not hanging out with people you manage outside of work. My approach to everything is there's no such thing as common sense. People don't know what they don't know. Even though my education manager had salon ownership experience, this did not mean that they have the right management skills. And this was our first disagreement. I mean, I couldn't prevent her from hanging out with anyone outside of work, but these conversations continued to escalate. I made clear that the divisions happen within the team and it was frowned upon by me and the rest of management, and she needed to fix her mistakes. If you're a manager, you need to act like one 100% of the time. There are consequences that come from hanging out with people you manage. You cannot be friends with your team because the moment coaching, mentoring, and discipline is involved, disrespect occurs towards you and the business. You simply cannot run your business based on friendship because when you have to hold their feet to the fire, they have to understand the difference between personal and business. And to me, that is simply too big of an expectation to have on your employees. If you are a manager or the owner, you have the power and authority. And the moment you let that wall down, people will take advantage. Now, the number one mistake I made was not holding my education manager accountable for another incident that occurred outside of the salon. In a nutshell, my top producing stylist and the education manager started to hate each other. And if you are the manager, to be expected that your staff probably won't like you, or you're not going to be their favorite person. And you need to be okay with that. You need to be able to still run the business, find a way to connect with your staff, even the ones you kind of might not like that much, and address issues before they get out of hand. Praise good work, own your mistakes, be consistent in the work environment you expect, and overall motivate everyone so the ecosystem continues. But on the flip side, you as the owner or the manager treating the staff you manage with disrespect or expressing hatred, that simply cannot happen. That is called a hostile work environment. Now, again, I really want to drive this home for those of you listening. If you are the manager or an active owner in the salon, you have the power and the authority. The moment you let that wall down, like partying with your staff and using them as Uber ride sleepovers, people will take advantage. I was in a tough spot. I got my top producer and my education manager butting heads. There were cliques created, gossip stirring, misinformation spreading about compensation, and now we have the perfect cocktail for a toxic salon. We went from being openly communicative to staff withholding information because they hated this education manager so much, which makes sense. I mean, you partied with these people and then tried to be their boss the next day. And unfortunately, I was hopeful that this could all be repaired if the education manager would just own up to her mistakes and fix them. When in retrospect, I should have just fired her then. The bottom line, my salon culture shifted drastically, and I allowed these people, my education manager and my employees, to shift my business. Everything I had built up to this point, destroying it from within. I put so much trust in this manager while I was working on other projects when I shouldn't have in the first place. I put the wrong person in the wrong seat. Unqualified, unprofessional, immature, emotionally unstable, and overall just the wrong fit. So I did what any salon manager would do, and that was have a salon meeting where I laid down my rules and what my culture is. Some called it berating because I was disappointed, angry, and I felt like I was talking through things that a mother does with a teenager. To clarify, there was no yelling involved, just a salon owner clearly spelling out my rules for my salon. And for those who were offended by what I had said, we're all part of the problem. This wasn't their salon anymore. This was mine, even though I didn't work in it every single day. It was a tough conversation to have, but it needed to be done. And even though this meeting was had right before the busy holiday season, I was prepared to fire anyone and everyone who would get in the way of my salon success. As an owner, nobody is going to give a shit about your business as much as you do. You are the one taking all the financial risk. Even though I had 3 managers running this business, ultimately, I was the one responsible for all the success and failure. Remember that the team you hire either wants to be a part of that success or they don't. I knew with what needed to be said, the people negatively affecting my business were not going to be happy. And I was totally okay with that because at the end of the day, I had a contingency plan to completely start over. I didn't need any of them. And that is always the position you should be in business. The salon that I created fed them clients. I supplied everything. They had paid and free education. I was teaching them how to use social media for their business. And I had a healthy service menu that paid well despite their lack of experience. We gave them the platform to be fresh out of school and charge premium prices. They had it good with the exception of the worst education manager on the planet. At this point, the damage had been done, and I knew that. I owned up to it, and I started the process of starting over. In 2022, my salon business brought in over $1 million, and I was prepared to burn it all down because of the toxic people working for me. My top producers and education managers brought in over $100,000 each, and some took home over $75,000. Hell, my education manager actually took home $95,000 despite her broke story she likes to tell on social media. All this just for them to shit on everything I had built, including the gold bracelets I gifted them to celebrate their 100K milestone. And just to clarify, I didn't have to give anyone a bracelet for doing their job, but I gifted it to them as a congratulatory gesture. I honestly felt like a proud mom with ungrateful teenagers. In retrospect, I think some of the hairstylists who claim to be unhappy with their pay occurred because they didn't know how taxes work, how to manage their personal finances, or how much overhead comes with running a business. But I definitely am going to talk about this topic more on another episode because running a business in California totally hits different. Shortly after laying down the law of my salon, a mutiny was stirring. Literally. Keep in mind, this was right before the holiday, the busiest time of year. My top producer sent out this private group chat to stage a walkout titled, "Welcome to the Mutiny." Their plan was to work through this holiday season, track and keep all of the new clients my business was feeding them, open a suite together, and quit in unison in January. Of course, I didn't know this right away, but there were signs. And again, I was prepared to burn it all down, figuratively, of course. One of the first things I noticed was my top producer removed her online booking status to the salon and her location, only requesting DMs, which I was totally fine with, but defeats the purpose of me supporting her books through my salon. This posed a conversation to be had, and I told her the next morning that since she was removing herself from being bookable online, that I thought it was best she went booth rent because we have that option. She immediately said how much she wasn't ready to do that and how much she wanted to be on the team. And I believed her in that moment. She was a single mom, and my Achilles heel is giving people way too many chances. Obviously, because my education manager was still employed. I literally thought people would change. A few days later, one of the other employees that were close friends with my top producer informed me about the group chat and the mutiny. So I fired her. I was not going to allow a toxic, high-producing employee try to fuck up my business, get in the way of everything I had built for me and my family. I was angry that someone would even attempt to try to sabotage my small business. Now that I was well informed of the intent of some of my team, what came to follow was everything I had dreamed of. My salon manager, Yadira, and I had a plan to start over completely, but the toxic people made it so easy for me. They quietly quit, and it was amazing. I didn't have to see their ungrateful faces or give them their last paychecks in person. We finished out the holiday season with success. Some clients left and some stayed, but overall, we were overwhelmed with too many clients and not enough hairstylists. The same scenario we were in at the beginning of the end of the pandemic lockdowns. Now, there was one more person I needed to take care of, and that was the education manager. As a salon fell apart, she fell short in meeting deliverables and job expectations. She was supposed to create an education curriculum in 2022, but instead, I learned later that she was focused on creating her own independent education while on my payroll. Because you know that social media I helped her with kind of took off. She was also supposed to hire a new team since she crumbled the first, but offered no support to the other managers. Again, I was giving her a chance here to fix what she broke and learn from her mistakes. But more importantly, because I was holding her accountable to the downfall of the salon, she began to play the victim instead of picking up the pieces. I literally was standing on the side of my managers this entire time, but her lack of collaboration and completing projects made me realize she was completely uncoachable and not the right person for the position. She was incapable of managing a new team. So lesson number one, when someone wants to work for you or claims to be all up in your vision, it's simply not true. Most people will come into your life with an ulterior motive. They will love bomb you and talk all about the things that they want to do with you. But remember, no one shows their true colors in the beginning. Give any relationship 6 months before you see who they truly are. Now, fast forward to January of 2023, I asked her to give me a date with 2 weeks that would be her last. This was my nice way of firing her because, to be honest, I wanted to end things on good terms to be sure she had enough time to get set up with a suite, but I was unaware of her ill intent towards me. She told lies to the good staff that was left that she too wanted my business to fail even after all I did for her. Looking back now, I believe this may have come to fruition when she asked me for a raise in the middle of the salon falling apart, and I told her not until she fixed what she broke. What she wasn't willing to do was take responsibility for her part in destroying my team and my business. I believe her perception is that the salon would not have grown to the capacity that it did without her, that the success was built with her hands. But the truth is, it would have succeeded without her, because what she fails to recognize is that before her were 2 managers that also were $100,000 revenue generators. 2 managers that helped grow the team, 2 managers that picked up the pieces that she left behind. I think the thing that still bothers me now is that a year later, she needs to keep my name alive to sell her brand. She still needs me to make her education company and brand relevant, taking to social media with the fabricated stories and overall painting me as the villain, that the trauma I induced is somehow related to her made-up success that she shares, that somehow she is envied by me and my team. But really, we have all moved on successfully without her. I suppose some people live their lives painting other people as the villain in their story, but honestly, having my piece is totally worth it. The salon team that is left from that time knows the truth, knows the made-up stories told online, and that is truly all that matters. We survived. My salon survived 2023 successfully with profit, even with a walkout. So how did I do it? Here are some strategies I put in place before all of this happened. So if you're a salon owner that has not experienced a walkout, listen up. Always, always, always recruit, even when you have a full team. Having systems in place to always hire new talent by looking for individuals who not only have the necessary skills, but also fit in well with your salon's culture. You're going to want to use various channels like social media, job portals, or networking within the industry to find suitable candidates. You can refer to this list of candidates and then pull from there. One strategy we used was from our local cosmetology extern program so we can train them. Next is you're going to want to do a lot of financial planning. A walkout can impact your salon's finances drastically, and this is why you should have a contingency fund to support your overhead and pay for at least the next 6 months to even a year. I had enough saved to completely start over, which is why I wasn't worried about having that tough meeting. It was my creative way of weeding out the people who truly just didn't want to be there. Now, this next one is really important. You're going to want to maintain your salon culture. So you're going to start by creating a positive work environment. Organize those team building activities and encourage open communication so you can foster that sense of belonging among your staff. This is an area that I missed the mark on because I realized my one toxic manager was just fucking everything up. But hopefully this will help you in preventing a walkout altogether. Do not let anyone change your salon culture. And the final one before a walkout is even in your wheelhouse. You're going to want to create a strong salon system. This includes building your email list, online booking, your checkout systems, and overall the client experience. I think this was the strongest asset we had when the walkout occurred. We were able to create a strategy with our clients before firing anyone or anyone quit. Now, if you're listening to this and a walkout has occurred, these are some things that you can do after a walkout occurs. Before taking any action, you're going to want to assess and understand the situation. It's important to understand why the walkout happened in the first place. This may involve some introspection and possibly feedback from the remaining staff or even those who left if they're willing to talk to you. And understanding the root causes will help in preventing those future issues. The next thing you're going to want to do is retain the remaining staff you have. So focus on the staff who stayed. Make sure they feel valued and understood, and address any concerns they may have and involve them in that rebuilding process. These are the people who believe in you, in your brand, in your business, so cherish them. Now, this next one is really important. Improve management practices. If management issues contributed to the walkout like it did for mine, it's essential to make those changes. This could involve training for yourself or for your management team, altering communication methods, or just changing how the salon is run day to day. In this case, I had to fire the education manager. Next, you're going to want to rebuild that salon culture. So start from scratch. If this was an area of opportunity, start by creating a positive work environment. Organize that team building activity. Take them on an adventure like an escape room or some type of activity you guys can all do together. Next, you're going to want to enhance that customer service. So with new staff, it's important to maintain and even improve in the level of service. And training new employees in customer service and ensuring consistency in the quality of services offered is key. Next is leverage that marketing and communication. So communicate with your clientele about the changes. Use this as an opportunity to rebrand or reintroduce new services, new staff, or new promotions, and keeping your clients informed and engaged is crucial during this time. Now, this next one might feel a little difficult for some of you, but you're going to want to seek support and guidance. So don't hesitate to seek support from another salon owner or an industry expert. They can provide valuable insights and advice on how to rebuild. kind of like this podcast. Now, this last one I'm going to share with you is the most important. You're going to want to stay positive and resilient. You need to maintain a positive outlook even with the rise of ex-employees spreading misinformation on social media. They're gonna talk. And if they do take to social media, remember, they need you to continue to be the villain in their story so their perceived success has a story of triumph. So in a lot of ways, your impact has a strong effect on how they navigate through their future career. These kind of people tend to attract drama throughout their life, and if they are publicly sharing one trauma after another, people start to see through that. So let them crumble on their own terms. Resilience and professionalism will help you navigate through this challenging time. So remember, this is also an opportunity for you to grow and improve in your business. So in conclusion, prepare for a walkout even if you don't believe it's in the foreseeable future. Remember that the people you manage are not your friends. Stay professional even when ex-employees tell lies on social media. Nobody's going to care about your business or understand the financial risk as much as you. Hire the right team, put the right people in leadership. This can make or break your business. Keep your salon toxic free. Don't be afraid to fire top producing talent, and don't let people change the salon culture you built. And finally, don't be afraid to start from scratch. I encourage salon owners to learn from my experience, and I encourage hairstylists to have those tough conversations with their salon owners. The bottom line is communication is key, so don't be that person that creates cliques or gossips about the salon. That's high school shit. Be an adult and have the conversation. I believe that a positive salon is open communication and understanding that we all have the same end goal, and that's to love what we do and make great money doing it. Now, I really hope you found some inspo from this podcast, and on that note, I want to thank you so much for listening to Airbnb. So make sure you visit my website, morellamanelli.com, where you can learn more about the Airbnb tour, like the foil framework, hands-on class, or you can check out my online educational tools like the Highlight Placement Blueprint or the Ultimate Toner Guidebook. I'm going to share all of the links to everything down below in the description of this episode. So make sure you subscribe to the show and sign up for the Airbnb newsletter. You can find Airbnb podcast on iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher, so you'll never miss an episode. And if you found value in this show, I'd appreciate a ratings on iTunes, or simply tell a friend about the show to listen in. All of the links on where to find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook can be found in the description of this episode. And if you have suggestions for a topic, you can send it to info@morellamanelli.com, and I'll see you on the next one, and be ready to simplify your hair, beauty, and business goals on Airbnb. Cheers. Today, I'm going to reveal everything you need to know about hair bleach, from the basics to the pro tips. So whether you're a hairstylist looking for the best hair bleach tips in salon, or if you're a DIYer who wants to get in salon ready results, I'm going to be sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, all about hair bleach. Now, if you've been watching any of my previous hair bleach videos where I tested countless bleaches, everything from pro all the way down to consumer that are sold at Sally's, lots of you guys had tons of opinions, and some of you just weren't quite sure what type of bleach I was using, and you kind of didn't know anything about bleach. So that's exactly what this video is going to be about today. What it is, what it does, what kind of bleach should you use, does it cause damage? We're going to reveal all of it. And if you're new here, my name is Mirella Manelli. I'm a hair educator who loves helping hairstylists simplify their skills in business. I would love if you could give this video a like, subscribe if you love videos like these, so we can get the video to the right people. Now let's get right into this video. So let's get right into the very first question, which is, what is hair bleach? Hair bleach is a chemical process that lightens the natural and color pigments in the hair. So whether you have virgin hair or chemically treated hair, it's going to eat away at those color pigments. They're also known as melanin, and they come in two different forms, which is pheomelanin and eumelanin. But we're not going to be talking about that today. That's a totally different subject, but just know that all hair bleach does alter all types of pigment in the hair. Now, the key ingredients for most hair bleaches is ammonia and peroxide, and they have to be mixed together in order for the product to actually work. Now, there is a huge misconception that the ammonia content is inside the hydrogen peroxide, which is the developer, but that is not the case. All of your powder, cream, bleaches, oil lighteners, any type of chemical you're using, all of your ammonia product is going to be inside of the actual bleach lightener itself. The hydrogen peroxide is simply H2O2. It's oxygen to help activate it and make it do its thing. Keep in mind, there are also ammonia-free ammonia-free lighteners, and don't mistaken ammonia-free for being gentle, because that is not what it means. It just means that it doesn't contain any ammonia, and therefore it's not going to have a really strong ammonia fragrance.
Now the smell is getting to me.
Not all ammonia-free lighteners are gentle. There's plenty of lighteners that have ammonia in them that are super gentle. So just make sure that when you're reading the packaging for any of your bleach lighteners, don't just automatically assume ammonia-free means gentle. Now, like I mentioned, bleaches come in different forms. They come in bleach powder, which is probably the most popular. There's also cream, oil-based, and there's also clay. So now let's talk a little bit more about how bleach actually works. Think of this like the science part of the whole bleaching process.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Now, once you mix your bleach lightener with the H2O2 and you've activated it and you apply it to the hair, basically in a nutshell, what it does is it opens up the hair cuticle, penetrates to the cortex, and then it starts to break down the melanin in the hair. So just keep in mind that not all melanin is created equal. Now, there are other factors to include, like, does your client have previous hair color? Do you have box dye? Are there different layers of hair color kind of going on the strand of the hair? All of these layers, depending on the growth pattern and how many times you've colored it, whether it's permanent or demi-permanent or even semi-permanent hair color, all of these colors can be really difficult to remove. So if you've ever heard a hairstylist say it's really difficult to remove box hair dye, this is exactly why. It's because it has tons of pigment, a lot of pigment load onto each hair strand. So when you put the bleach right on top of it, you're not only having to penetrate that artificial color, but you're also having to penetrate the natural hair pigment that exists inside of the client's hair. So this is kind of like double the work. Now, generally, if you are working on somebody who has a lot of pigment load, or maybe they've done a series of several different permanent, demi-permanent, or semi-permanent colors onto the hair over the course of, let's say, I don't know, a year, and now you're going to expect the bleach lightener to lift, what can happen is tons of banding. So if you've seen those little lines kind of happening on each of the strand, that's exactly what you're experiencing. You're seeing the hair history of what you've done over the course of the years. There are also other factors too, like medications and foods we eat, and just kind of like the season in life that we're in. Like if you're pregnant, or maybe you're going through menopause, or maybe you're experiencing some kind of illness, all of those factors just kind of exude through each of the hair strands, therefore making it sometimes a little bit more difficult to get that even lift. And this is kind of why I really do think that you should go to an experienced hairstylist who knows how to properly lift your hair and not do the DIY thing. But I get it, like, you love doing your hair at home, and if you think it looks great, then keep doing it. I'm not going to stop you. So now let's talk a little bit more about how long you should process your hair. Now, typically you can leave bleach lightener on as little as 5, 10, 20 minutes, but typically a bleach lightener is going to tell you not to exceed anywhere from 45 minutes to 60 minutes. The reality is, in salons, sometimes we are leaving it on a little bit longer. Keep in mind that bleach lightener is progressive, so that means the longer you leave it on, and as long as it's staying hydrated, it is going to continue working. This is why you've probably seen tons of horror stories all over the internet where someone's left bleach lightener on the hair too long and then it starts to melt off. This is why hair integrity is so integral for hair bleaching, because you need to have healthy hair in order to do the lightening process. If the hair is not healthy whatsoever, then bleach is just kind of a no-go. A really good indicator for me is when the hair starts to look really angry and you know that it just has no elasticity left. It's probably like a definite hard no. Like, we got to do plan B, which is probably a demi-permanent hair color and a really good Olaplex treatment. Now, a little fun fact about bleach lightener is not only is it progressive, but it's also irreversible and it's cumulative, meaning the more times that you do it, the more higher lift you're going to get, but also the more fragile that you're making the hair. Keep in mind that if you've gotten the hair to its fragile point, it's almost irreversible to even remotely make it healthy again. This is where a really good trim comes into place. Bye-bye, hair. Now let's talk about the different types of hair bleaches and what and who they're good for. So the most common one is the powder bleach lightener. So typically this comes either in a baggie or a little container, and it literally is a powder. And if you want to check out the powder bleach lighteners that I've tested at Cosmoprof, Salon Centric, and even Sally's Beauty, make sure you head on down below in the description. Okay, so back to the powder bleach lighteners. Basically, you're going to take your powder and you're going to mix it with your developer. And this is going to be 10 through 40 volume. Now, they do make all kinds of different volume of developers. Please, please, please use what is directed according to the brand and bleach that you are using. That's going to be like the safest route for you, especially if you are a first timer or a DIYer. Now, like I mentioned, powder bleach lighteners are the most common and they are typically used for a multitude of services. You can do on-scalp retouches, you can do full applications, highlights, balayage, foliage, the list goes on. The only negative for me on the powder lighteners is that they can be really aggressive. However, there are a lot of gentle powder lighteners out there. They come in so many different ranges. The other negative for me too is that because it's a powder, they usually come with a lot of dust. However, there are dust-free options out there. So if you're a person who's really sensitive to smell, maybe you want to opt in for something that's dust-free and also ammonia-free. The next popular form of lightener is the cream bleach. Now, these cream bleaches are great for precision or anyone who has really sensitive scalp. And you can even find cream bleaches that are great for like bleaching your facial hair. But when we're talking about the hair on your head specifically, cream bleaches are a great go-to for anyone that's just kind of can't stand that bleach feeling as you're doing a retouch. So this would be a really great option for that person. Generally, my go-to though, if you're going from really dark roots to really platinum blonde, the powder bleach lightener is going to get you there. The cream bleach is just an alternative if they are kind of like on the sensitive side. And because they are a cream bleach, they're actually really easy to apply, really hydrating for the hair, and way less messy. Now, the next type of bleach lightener that's really popular is the oil bleaches. Now, this is the most gentlest form of bleach lightener that you can possibly use. This type of bleach is really great for bleaching already previously lightened hair. So if you have to do some overlapping on not compromised bleach hair, this can be a really great option for you. And it is also typically the gentlest form of lightening in general. But just keep in mind, this isn't going to be the bleach lightener that's going to give you the highest lift. This is going to give you some lift. Now, the last type of bleach lightener that's really nichey is the clay lightener. Now, this type of lightener is really great for open air hair painting. However, there is this really great creator all over Instagram and TikTok who uses clay lightener in a foil. That's typically not how it's designed, but you can use it for that. And some hairstylists love using it for foliage as well. So it's still a pretty versatile bleach, but in general, clay lighteners are designed to be applied as open air, and then as it dries, it builds a cast. This is why it doesn't really transfer. So if you paint on your lightener and then you drop it down on hair that doesn't have any product on it, it won't create any bleeding spots. Generally, a clay lightener is going to be a little bit more gentler on the hair, give you slighter lift, and it doesn't have as much contrast. Personally, a really great way on how I like to use clay lightener is I like using it to kind of buff out and magic erase old toner and old color out of the hair. It's honestly a really cool hack, especially if you're just trying to buff out some old vivids and reapply some new vivids. Try the clay lightener and let me know how it goes. Okay, so let's talk about choosing the right developer. Now, typically you're going to pick up anything from 10 to 40 volume, and there are lower developers like 5 volume, 7 volume, 9 volume, and you can use all of those as long as they go with the corresponding brand. And I am a big believer that if you want to get the best results from any type of bleach lightener, you're going to want to pick up the same developer in that brand that goes with it. And this is because not all developers are created equal. You will notice that some are really thin and liquidy, some are really thick and creamy, some are super chunky and need a squeezy bottle to dispense. They all have different levels of conditioners and buffers. So depending on your bleach's strength and how much ammonia content is inside of your container, you're going to want to make sure you have enough conditioners and buffers so that way you can protect the hair and not cause a ton of damage. Now, a general rule of thumb for developers is that 10 volume is great for deposit only or maybe 1 level of lift. 20 volume is going to give you 2 levels of lift. 30 volume will give you 3 levels of lift, and 40 volume will give you 4 levels of lift. But in the case of bleach lightener, that is simply not true. You can mix up your bleach lightener with water, and the water itself is an activator alone that it actually will do something to your hair. Now, I don't recommend doing this because water actually doesn't have any conditioners and buffers in it. And if you've ever bleached hair with just powder and water, it actually can make the hair feel really dehydrating, even though technically it's the gentlest form because you're not using a lot of oxygen in your formula. But just keep in mind those conditioners and buffers and creams that are inside those developers, they do magic to the hair. And I say all of this just because 10 volume will still lift the hair. It still can get you 4 or 5 levels of lift. It's just all about how you work it, how you manipulate it, how you mix it up, and your mixing ratios. So much goes into it. But the general choice of developer is the 20 volume. It's kind of like your middle of the road. It's super rare that I would pick up a 30 volume or even a 40 volume bleach lightener, but there are cases where I do need to use that, and that's typically on people who have really strong pigment, and that's usually anyone who has either Indian descent, or if they're Latin descent, or they just have a lot of dark pigment. So just keep in mind that not all bleach lighteners are created equal. There are some that are stronger than others, and sometimes you got to pull out the big guns and those really powerful bleach lighteners to cut through that really dark pigment. I'm talking like levels 4 and below. Just keep in mind that the higher developer that you use, the higher the damage risk on the hair. Now, there are some things that you can do and should do to prepare for any type of bleach service. And the first one is just to assess the hair. Is it even in good condition to apply bleach? Like I mentioned already, if the hair is compromised, it's already starting to feel super dry, it's breaking, bleach might not be a great option for you. If the hair is just kind of dehydrated, maybe it just needs a really good strengthening treatment prior to the actual service. And if you're still second guessing it, a strand test is always a great option. Now, the best way to do a strand test is just to take a small section of hair in the back of your head, apply a little bit of lightener in the back. You can even do different volumes to test whether 10, 20, or 30 volume would be a great option for you. And you can even test different mixing ratios to see how long it will take to get you to the level of lift that you're desiring. That strand test is going to be able to tell you everything that's going on in the hair and if it's even a great option. And then if it breaks off, at least you're only breaking off a few pieces in the back of your head and not all of your hair and having this massive hair disaster. Now, some highly recommended supplies you will need, of course, is a bowl and a brush. I always use those things to apply my bleach lightener. 1000% if you're a DIYer, please use gloves. Don't be dumb like most hairstylists and not use gloves, because the bleach will literally bite at your fingertips and scan it. It's pretty painful. So just to avoid that, always use gloves. Now, a pro tip that I really think is important, and this goes for everybody out there, and I just see stylists that don't do this all of the time, but definitely use a scale to mix up your bleach lightener. Using a scale is going to give you the best accuracy and the best consistency. And this is because a lot of bleach lighteners will tell you either to mix up 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 2.5, 1 to 3. And you really need to have the best accuracy so you can have the best viscosity, application, and best results possible. And you're going to get that with a scale. Little added note, if you are bleaching your hair, you probably will need toner. It's super rare that somebody does not need toner. That's usually people who are natural level 7 and above. They just kind of don't need the toner. I think everybody needs toner, even if it's just a clear, but nonetheless, just be prepared to get some toner and apply that to your head. So now I want to talk a little bit more about the whole mixing ratios thing. This is a huge component in the type of lift that you're going to get. Not only just the viscosity and consistency that you like, and typically I like something a little bit more thicker for precision, especially if I'm doing highlights or a root retouch. I want my bleach lightener just to be a little bit more thicker so that way I can really see exactly where I'm putting it, and I don't want it to swell up. So many factors come into play with mixing ratios, but a general rule of thumb is the less developer to your bleach, the more lift you're going to get. So remember how I said that your bleach lightener is what has the ammonia in it? That is really your strength. And this is why a lot of times you can get a really great result with just 10 volume, because you're using a strong ammoniated bleach lightener in this can and you're mixing it at a lower mixing ratio. So for example, if you did a 1-to-1 mixing ratio with 10 volume and then did another mixing ratio at a 1-to-3, the 1-to-1 mixing ratio is actually going to get you much higher lift than the 1-to-3 mixing ratio. So the lift doesn't always have to do with the type of developer choice you're using. Sometimes it's just the ratio of powder to developer. Now, when it comes to the application of bleach lightener, like I mentioned, there's lots of different ways to apply your bleach. It can be an on scalp or highlights, or maybe you're doing some balayage or foliage, whatever the case may be. The most common question people ask me is, can you overlap? And the short answer is yes, you can totally overlap bleach lightener over previously bleached hair. You just need to be careful. If the hair has already been bleached and then it's caused a lot of damage, damage, I definitely would not suggest putting more bleach lightener on that. However, if you bleached the hair and it quite didn't get to the point where you needed it to, and you've done treatments and it still feels like it's in great condition, I would just opt in for a gentle lightener for wherever you're reapplying. Now, there are some pro tips that we do in the salon. So for example, if I am doing a highlight application and the hair just has not lifted after 30 minutes, sometimes just mixing up a brand new batch of lightener and reapplying it immediately in the foil and letting it process for another 5-10 minutes just does the trick. One thing to note is that most bleach lighteners do not recommend heat, and that means do not go under a heated dryer to speed up the process. What this does is actually cause a lot of damage to the hair, and we don't want to further cause damage because all bleach really damages the hair at the end of the day. But we can do things to help repair that damage, and if it's gone a little too far and you've made it overcompromised, then that damage just becomes irreversible, and that's exactly what the dryers can do. So unless the bleach lightener brand tells you that you can put it under the dryer, I would just completely opt out of it. Now, there are some tips that you can help encapsulate heat. So for example, at my salon, I work directly underneath an AC vent, so it makes a very cool environment around my client's head, and that can actually affect the type of lift that I get from my foils. So what I do instead is I take a towel and I just place it over their head, and I'm allowing that natural body heat from my client's head to just kind of do its thing, let it do its magic. Now, I want to give you a pro tip as a hairstylist, and this goes for everybody, whether you're a hairstylist or DIYer. Keep in mind that your bleach lightener will continue to process. Like I mentioned, it is progressive. You want to really just kind of be careful that you're not over processing that hair. So the best thing to do is when your foils are done processing, just take a dry towel and wipe it clean. If you're waiting for other foils to process, do not use a spray bottle because keeping the hair hydrated and moist with water actually keeps the process of the bleach lightener continuing to process, and we want to stop that. So like I said, the best way to do that is just let it dry out. And then when you're ready to take them to the shampoo bowl, then you can, wet it down and shampoo it, and definitely condition, because the conditioner is what's going to give you that low pH to help kind of close up the cuticle and make it feel soft and hydrated again. Now, after you are all done with the bleaching process, it is so imperative that you follow up with shampooing and conditioning. And this is part of the neutralization process. I'm going to take it even a step further. I really think using a treatment like Olaplex or K18 is going to be so imperative to getting the best hydrated and healthy looking results that you want out of your bleached hair. Even if your bleach lightener has a bonder built in it, you're going to want to help neutralize and further condition and repair those lost proteins in the hair. Little fun fact is protein and moisture love to live in the same space inside of the hair. So if you over proteinize, the hair starts to feel brittle. That's because it lacks moisture. So you always want to have a nice little balance between the moisture and hydration and your proteins. So if you find a product that's going to have that perfect balance for you, that's going to be the perfect thing to finish off any bleach service. Now, aside from the treatments and conditioning, you can also use purple shampoos to help neutralize a lot of those yellow tones. And of course, you're going to need a toner. Now, toners come in an array of shades, everything from super ash and silvery all the way to really golden and copper hues. And if you're a hairstylist out there that loves using Kenra color, or you want to learn more about toning, I do have the Ultimate Toner Guidebook, and I'm going to put the link to that in the description down below. But essentially, the Ultimate Toner Guidebook has 150 of my favorite Kenra toner formulas all built inside, plus tons of toning tips as well. So make sure you go check that out, and it's a really cool little tool to keep it inside of your little salon cabinet. So now I want to talk about some common mistakes that you should avoid when you are bleaching your hair. Number one, do not skip the strand test, especially if you are a first timer or you're doing a color correction. The strand test is going to tell you everything you need to know about your formula and the hair history. Number two, do not overlap bleach unless the hair is in really great condition and you're expecting a little bit higher lift. And number three, avoid using really high developer with your bleach lightener and using high developer with a lower mixing ratio. That's just calling like 911 for your hair. You're gonna damage it and it's gonna fry off and it's gonna melt off, and I don't want you to be that person. Now, I want to finish this video by educating you that all bleach lighteners do cause some form of damage, and this all goes down to knowing the type of lightener you're using, your developer, mixing ratios, the care before and after, and do you even have a really great canvas
to start with. All of these factors and having this knowledge is going to help minimize the type of damage you're doing. And then the aftercare is going to play a huge part when you're doing your toning and your treatments, and always get trims, especially if you're doing a lot of bleaching on your hair. If bleaching hair still intimidates you, I promise you, please find a bleach or blonding expert in your area. You will get the best results possible, and it might even help you save money in the long run, because then you won't have to like find somebody that knows how to do color correction. Just a little tip. Now, I want to thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this entire video. And if you found this video helpful, or you would like more hair tutorials just like these, make sure you like this video, subscribe, share it with a friend. Also, if you're a hairstylist looking for more in-depth hair education, make sure you check out hairbnbuniversity.com. It's where confidence behind the chair starts, right here. It's the ultimate beauty and business makeover, and I would love to see you inside. Doors or open enrollment closes July 11th. Like always, you can head on over to MirellaManelli.com for more education. Subscribe to my email list, and thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.